Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the March 25th Board of Directors meeting for the Maryland Environmental Service. Next slide. As you see the agenda before you, we are called to order at 9:35 a.m. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
This is JP. I'll approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 The ayes have it. So to start my director's report off, it is my sad duty to report the loss of another MES valued staff member. Mr. Roger Myers Jr. passed away unexpectedly on Saturday, March 20th. He was the field operations supervisor at the Montgomery County Yard Trim Composting Facility in Dickerson, Maryland. He joined MES on November 1st, 2006. Mr. Myers managed the leaf grow bagging line and crew at the site, and he was a stalwart force that produced the 650,000 bags of leaf grow each year like clockwork. He was a valued member of the MES Dickerson family and will be deeply missed. Please keep his family in your thoughts and prayers during this difficult time. And we stand in support for our team members down there in Dickerson. So, report on director's expenses. Again, the state of emergency still exists in the state of Maryland, and I continue to refrain from all travel and business expenses. And I gave no directions to staff to purchase anything since our last meeting. Although with my next item, I'll talk about a new expense that the executive team will be incurring as we move forward. Next slide. Probably just the blank one. Yes. So today I want to praise a retiring employee. Ms. Karen Fields was hired as an environmental systems operator apprentice on September 9th, 1987 to work on our Crownsville water treatment plant. She progressed to ESOI and then switched to Environmental Specialist Series, where she has held positions of increased responsibility through her entire career at MES. Her final position was Senior Lead Environmental Specialist in the Environmental Monitoring Department at headquarters. In that position, she supervised 3 samplers and was responsible for the coordination, scheduling, and tracking of water and wastewater permits required samples. Her field experience and role as a plant operator made her the perfect fit for the position. She will be missed by many, and we wish her the best in her retirement. Some things have been lost in the intensity of the last 9 months, but I'm going to get her this director's citation. I'm sorry, it probably isn't showing up. It is nice and fancy and has a seal and is on nice copy. In addition, we are looking into the expense that I'm talking about is we're looking into a token for a gift for all 30-plus year employees that leave us. Our industry, the 3 major industries that MES works in, is known to have a graying staff. And we honor all of those people that gave over 3 decades of their lives and their energy and their intellect and their work effort to MES. So we'll start with the director's citation. We're researching a nice gift commensurate with that many years of service, and we also will reach out to the governor's office for governor citations for any state employee that serves for over 30 years and gives that time and energy to the state. So cheers to Mrs. Fields and cheers to all those that worked with her for all those years. Update on the Maryland Environmental Service Reform Act. The bill continues to move and has crossed over in both houses. Mr. Tosi and Mr. Coleman continue to monitor the issues with the bill. There are no hearings scheduled at this point, but we expect a vote to occur before the end of the legislative session and to send it to the governor for his signature. And we don't have any indication that he won't sign the bill. Update on the State Transparency and Accountability Reform Commission. We have a report due to the commission for answering the list of questions that I described at the last board meeting. So, but last week on March 15th, 2021, the STAR Commission met for the third time. The focus of the meeting was on presentations by attorney Michael Peregrine of McDermott, Will, and Emery LLP. He seemed to focus on governance and the structure of boards of different types. Dr. Linda Singh, retired general, also presented, and she presented on her time as a change agent with TEDCO after retirement. And then Jennifer Algier of the Maryland Ethics Commission and Rebecca Snyder of MDDC also gave presentations. The presentation by Dr. Singh inspired me to track down and look for the last strategic plan conducted by MES, and it is now posted on our website for anyone to review. It was performed in 2017 and is a strategic plan that is a 5-year plan from 17 to 22. I've reviewed it once, I've read it once, and I'm continuing to look for ideas in that plan. I am familiar with the consulting firm that was procured and produced the plan. They were also a major firm supporting MDOT for most of my time there, and I thought that there were some valuable ideas in the plan that we can now implement. One was actually creating a virtual suggestion box for all teammates and connecting that to our support programs, our Inspire or our Heron Awards. Should those ideas yield great results? I think that the virtual box suggestion box was never implemented, and that's the first tidbit I got from reading it once that I think would be great for us to implement. Following up on the Sea Grant Fellow selection, Dr. Jahan, soon to be Dr. Jahan, I just give her the credit. She's ABD, all but dissertation final, so I just give her the doctor's title early. But anyway, Dr. Jahan has accepted the Sea Grant offer to join MES as she finishes her work this spring at the University of Rhode Island. As I mentioned, there is a provision in the MES reform bill to report to the General Assembly on the service's efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and to get a doctorate that can focus on this for the next 6 months once she starts, and help us get that report done by collaborating with all of our operational units and the executive office. I think that's a win-win for us, is not taking anyone off of billable work and having a new resource. But her experience also is in best management practices for stormwater treatment, for the removal of nitrogen, phosphorus, sediment, heavy metals, and PAHs, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, from the highways in Rhode Island. We have those same issues clearly here, and they are also a major portion of the Chesapeake Bay TMDL. So I plan to work with Dr. Hahn, and she received my suggestion that, along with working on climate change and resiliency and how our practices interact with those functions, to also work with Mr. Kluge in the grants office. I haven't talked to Mr. Kluge. Sorry, Mr. Kluge, to have you learn about it this way, but I haven't talked to him yet. But I'm sure he'll be amenable to the support in writing for grants, particularly federal grants, and in teaming relationships with universities, other state agencies, and local and municipal clients, partners of MES, to seek resources into the future in her area of expertise, which MES, of course, does a lot of active operational work in. So I'm happy that she's decided to join us, and I look forward to her arrival sometime in May or early June. One other tidbit that I learned over the last month through the strategic plan and in discussions, that supervisor and manager training has fallen off a little bit at MES. So there used to be a robust year-long monthly meeting of 40 or so MES teammates that were preparing to be supervisors and recognized by their managers, and managers looking to move up that would participate in a program. I believe the Anne Arundel Community College, a faculty member there, led the program, and I really see, I've read several times as we evaluate the best program, you know, our teammates are our best value. And one of my bosses in the past used to say, if you don't train your people and then you don't encourage continuing education, they may stay. But that's the downside. They might stay if you don't support people and continuous growth. We want MES to continue to have great managers, great supervisors, and really live within our policies, but also thrive in supporting and growing and serving all of our client partners. So this is hot off the presses as a concept. I have not reviewed all of the other information. I do have a crazy dream that I could, and I and the executive team could inspire an operator in training or a line worker in environmental operations facility to not just finish all of their certifications to become a licensed operator, but to also go on and go through their community college, their bachelor's degree and their master's degree, and become the executive director of MES someday. Mrs. Fields' career is a great example of someone moving up the managerial chain, and I want everyone at MES to feel inspired to continue to train and get there and advance their education. So I've begun discussions just because I do serve as a volunteer board member of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County's Engineering School, and they have two programs that they have in existence, but they haven't marketed much. An environmental engineering master's degree designed for people that are working. So a 4-year program, and since we have a lot of environmental scientists and engineers, it is focused on people that do come from biology and chemistry and the life sciences, as well as engineers. So there's that program. They also have a project management certificate and a project management master's degree. And I would just like to encourage, in the next teams meeting, I will be encouraging MES teammates that are at the level where they can apply for those programs to apply and accept our support for that coursework for them to advance in those degrees. I thought I've already shared my notes with Mrs. Fuller. Mrs. Fuller, I apologize. I have three other things to comment on before I finish. But one you have is I do want to give a shout out to environmental operations and the durable medical equipment program. When I took my 100-year-old grandmother, I'm sorry to keep putting her out there, but when I took her to get her second vaccine shot, and she had absolutely no problems with her second shot, she was offered a wheelchair at Quince Orchard High School in Montgomery County. And she has a walker that has a seat on it, but it's not as comfortable as a wheelchair. And she thankfully accepted the wheelchair. I came back and I asked Mr. Tomczewski, was that a MES recycle wheelchair? And he didn't know, but he got back to me and confirmed that it was. So I just want the Environmental Operations Group and the Durable Medical Equipment Group to know that the seniors enjoy that. It is, of course, with our partner, the Maryland Department of Aging. It's their work that we're doing for them, but it's appreciated by senior citizens that need that assistance. A couple more things. Poplar Island video I reposted on LinkedIn. Some of my closest 8,000 LinkedIn members have really enjoyed it, and I want to thank Environmental Dredging and Restoration and the team at Poplar Island, the young women that put that together. It was professionally done and was really inspiring from the natural beauty of Poplar Island. The another point that I thought of in the middle of the night was the request for information on biochar, an initiative that I suggested, and Mr. Ford in environmental operations and Mr. Razik in water and wastewater are curating. It received 4 responses that I plan on reading. I have scheduled to read tomorrow and meet with them on. But more importantly, industry members in the civil and environmental engineering consulting industry and some of our neighbors, Anne Arundel County and the Washington Suburban Sanitary Commission, have expressed interest in finding a way to team once MES finds a direction forward with the biochar development. So to create a Class A biosolids, particularly there's a new pollutant that's of interest in the country that I've not studied yet, but the acronym is PFAS, and when you have a gasifier or a pyrolysis piece of equipment, it actually destroys PFAS. Where traditional treatment techniques, lime stabilization, dewatering, and wastewater for biosolids does not remove PFAS, and then if you apply it to ag lands, it actually can be a pollutant that is transferred to feed for livestock or into our water bodies. So it's getting a lot of attention. We're going to still work through it and see how we can move forward. But I did want to give the board an update on that effort. And finally, for the board's attention, something that as I was transitioning yesterday during the HR committee, I want to get clarified on. I had told others that we would address it at the HR committee. It did not get addressed, but the governor stated that all state employees would be receiving a $1,000 bonus, separate and distinct from other compensation. And it's on the line whether that's a management decision or not, but I wanted to put it to the board. Just ask for a vote of the board in support of the effort. It goes to all of the sacrifices that MES employees have made. It is separate and distinct from our other programs. And I just wanted to request a motion to award a $1,000 bonus in line with what is happening in other state agencies in the month of April per the governor's request, and the General Assembly has approved it in their budget as well. So
I move that we authorize the $1,000 per employee in April at the direction of the foundation.
This is Shelley. I second.
Are there any questions, discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you all. And that concludes the director's report. Next slide. Do you have a table for the agency activity report, Ms. Fuller? Is there a next slide table? Or is it just, it's too large? It's too large.
It was in the
right,
in the packet
so,
that was emailed.
Yes. In your board packet, you have the agency activity report. Are there any questions on specific projects or their status at this time?
I have one, Dr. Update from Mr. T on Prince George's Brown Station landfill.
Mr. Tom Chesky.
Yes, sir. The 5-year contract still is in the Prince George's County procurement. I was told this morning that it's continuing to progress. As a matter of fact, they've added roughly $10 million or so to it. They think the total is going to be $88 million, which gives them a contingency as well. And also that they anticipate that for fiscal 22, that budget will be approximately $12.4 million, which is pretty close to what it's been this year. I think it's about 11.7 this year. So you have to have patience. Prince George's County has a process to go through, and we are making progress. So they seem pretty favorable that they really think it's going to go somewhere. So But the work does continue. That's the most important part. So
All right, thank you, Mr. Tomczewski.
you're welcome.
Any other questions on the agency activity report? Mr. Patel on the financial report. Oh, yeah. Mr. Patel.
So our labor sales are still below the last year because of one less payroll. However, the gap is narrowing, and we may not meet the budget, but it is still much better as compared to one less payroll. So we are progressing well in that direction. Go to the next slide, please. In any of these slides, if anyone has a question, please feel to stop me. I'll take a little pause in between. The change in net assets, since we are not investing any more in any capital assets, the percentage of, I'm sorry, I'm the wrong one. So the change in net assets, let me see. I didn't have the presentation in front. The change in net assets is doing much better than the last year. Last year at this time, we had 2,186,000. This year, we are 3,144,000. And mainly the changes are due to reduction in overhead costs. Because of the vacant positions in the earlier part of the fiscal year, now we are filling that position, so that gap will narrow, but will still be a little over our budgeted change in net assets. Next slide, please. The total net asset components. We are not investing in any capital assets lately. We haven't purchased any fleet vehicles in last 2 years. We are not moving forward with the building expansion. So right now, our invested in capital asset is a lower percentage. Usually it used to go around close to 50%, and now, as you can see, our invested in capital assets is going to be like less than 50%. But we are active. We analyzed all the fleet vehicles. We have many trucks which are close to or over 200,000. We did not purchase any trucks in last 2 years. We analyze. We are actively looking to purchase at least 10 trucks this fiscal year because our truck fleet is aging. We are waiting for the state to award the contracts. We've been pursuing for almost a month, and I think there's a delay of getting parts for the trucks and the bidding of the trucks from the companies. So we are watching it almost every week. As soon as the state selects the vendor, we're gonna purchase probably 10 trucks this year and the 10 trucks for the next year, and not next fiscal year. And I don't see any other major investments in capital assets happening for this year or next year. Next slide, please. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, the labor sales will be lower than the last year, but the increase in net assets, as you can see, the budget was 3.1 million. We are at 3.1 million now, and that will be a little more than the budgeted for the full year. But I think considering the $1,000 payment and all that, we may be close to that budget or just slightly over that budget for fiscal year 21. So this is the fiscal year budget, and as I said, the overhead recovery we are doing better because of the less expenses. But overall, our increase in net assets was estimated of $3.1 million, and we're going to come close to it or just a little over that. Any questions so far? All right, so I have changed these major accounts over 90 days. Again, pardon me, if it is not acceptable, but what we used to do all this time is we were presenting the financial statements as of February 28, 21. So all the financial statements are February, and historically we try to match what is the over 90 days as of February 28. And then we were putting that after that date, these were the amounts paid. Okay, so I thought this will represent the actual picture. So we are, I'm reporting major accounts over 90 days as of March 18, which was the latest information when we prepared the slides. Because every day, if you get the payments, the previous years, previous months, over 90 days is reduced. So this is the net as of March 18, 2021, deducting the payments. So Prince George's County, the $502,000. This is, it used to be $1 million. We received half the payments. So the other half is in process. So we're going to receive that soon, probably in a week or two. Montgomery County government, we are working, we get the wire transfers from Montgomery County government, and there are a lot of invoices, and sometimes the information is not clear which invoices they are paying. So the project manager and I'm working on it, but looks like, we will receive that payment soon. Town of Sudlersville is in limbo. Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services, we are told that they are processing the payments. As of March 9th, they were processing, so we'll receive that payment soon. The MCR PSC, we send the follow-up email again on March the 16th, so we are actively working on it. So that will be resolved soon. The Maryland Emergency Management Agency, project manager is following on that. Coppin State University, all the issues are resolved. The purchase order is issued. We send the invoices with the new purchase order. They are processing right now. We should get payment anytime. DC Department of General Services, this is 10,000 because this is like in the thousands, but we are just chipping away very little, and I'm going to work a little more on it to see if we can get bigger payments to eliminate this 10,000 balance faster, but we are working on the little payments one at a time. Motor Vehicles Administration, 11,000. On March 15th, we send the invoices to the client, and we hope that that will be resolved soon. South Star Limited Partnership, 13,000. So client paid many invoices. The South Star paid many invoices. It's just the one invoice that we are following up on there. So it should be resolved soon. And Wise Recycling and JR Sales is in legal proceedings. I mentioned a couple of months ago that I have started concentrating on the accounts over 90 days or 60 days. Last week I even told the staff to go after accounts over 30 days also. So that's a change in strategy. But we have limited resources in finance. I'm finding whatever resource I can find in finance to go on collections. So we have a lot of other items going on. We are providing a lot of documentation for all the investigations, the best plus, the changes. So we are slowly approaching where we're gonna be acting on every invoice that is past due 30 days. That's my goal. That's where finance is going towards. There are little limited resources, but I'm giving my full attention to past due invoices. Any questions?
Mr. Patel, what does MCRPSC stand for?
That's like Maryland Correctional. I don't know the exact name of it. Let me see. But it is the Maryland Correctional pre-release. Okay. So they have like Maryland Correctional Agency, and then there's a pre-release. They are budgeted separately, so it's one of them. But it is the Department of Corrections.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If there's no further questions, thank you very much.
Oh, one thing, Mr. Patel, I want to congratulate you and your group. It seems like you made tremendous progress since our last board meeting on accounts receivable, so it doesn't go unnoticed by us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And as I said, we'll keep working at it. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Mrs. Teller, with the audit committee report, what you were able to digest so far.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Glass, and good morning, everyone. This morning, we met as the audit committee at 8:30 this morning prior to this meeting. We had two presenters describing two completely different types of audits. We were fortunate enough to hear from Ms. Winsome Condra on the internal audit process so far, the results, and looking ahead, the forecasting of it. And we also heard from Mr. Patel on the annual audit process. In the first part of our meeting, during the internal auditor report, we did approve the charter, which is going to be the document that structures the internal audit process. And we also approved the internal audit plan, which is specific to the next couple of years. As you can see, there is a summary on your screen of what was discussed this morning. There were some audit findings and some recommendations that Ms. Condra discussed with us. There was one fraud hotline call that was also discussed with us. And then we went over, like I said, the process by which we're going to move forward at this point. So, and that is right there displayed for you is what Ms. Condra will be working on through December 2021. If there are any questions, I do believe Ms. Condra has joined us this morning, and she may even want to turn on her camera and just say good morning to everyone.
Morning all. If you have any questions, I'm right here. And Ms. Heller is, after her review, she will distribute to the board of directors the actual, the risk assessment and the internal audit plan.
I have one question. Are you concerned with I'm getting a lot of feedback, Dr. Glass. Is it everybody muted?
Let's everybody mute except for whoever is asking the question and speaking.
All right. Are you concerned at all with the one fraud hotline call?
You know what? It's something that I have to look at. Again, anytime there is fraud is always because there's lack of controls, right? So the first thing we have to understand, what are the controls in place to monitor the time. So it's like it's a time reporting scheme. What is available? What is is there a time clock? I'm not concerned that much because it seems like most of the folks that were in on the scheme are no longer at the agency. So if it's something that went on 3 years ago, or within 3 years, and they're no longer with the organization, we can't really go back and say something because we can't fire them because they already left, right? They're not here anymore. So what we need to do is look forward and determine how can we stop this from not happening again, right? And which I've reached out to the managing director, and we have some discussions about what we can do to stop that going forward.
And I'll chime in just to say that, and we also, if there is enough data, and we refer it to, and we get consultation from Mr. Coleman, and then we see if there is a way. But if there is no hard data to follow up with the whistleblower complaint, then we move on. But we are seeking other action if necessary, if we find theft. So.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding the internal audit or the annual audit? Okay. Dr. Glass, do you need any motions?
I don't think.
Okay.
I'd like to have so the committee did vote on both the plan and the charter. I think what we should do is give the other board members the opportunity, once we've gotten legal sufficiency on everything and just checked everything, we'll then send it out to the rest of the board. They'll have time to review it, and then we'll bring it back to the full board for a vote. I don't want to ask them to vote without them having a chance to review the materials.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I think that's the best practice. I mean, it is your committees, but I think that would be Thanks. If there are no more questions, the HR report. Ms. White.
Good morning. All is going well in HR. Currently, we have 851 positions. Sorry. And after the new hires come on board, we'll be at 3.86% vacancy rate. We continue to do our remote orientations. And since the pandemic start, we have brought on 91 employees. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Snee with the HR committee report from yesterday.
Thank you, Dr. Glass. Yes, as Dr. Glass indicated, the Human Resources Committee met yesterday, March 24, 2021. We started at 2:05 p.m. On the committee are Dr. Glass, Morgan Hall, Judge Smolkin, and myself. The purpose of the HR committee meeting was to approve the minutes from last May of 2020, and then overview the BEST program and make recommendations to the full board this morning. By way of history, I think it's important for everyone to understand that MES is a creature of statute, and in the statutory scheme, section 3-103.1, which is entitled Employees, it requires the service to adopt regulations to govern the employees of the service, and it mandates that the service shall establish a personnel system that is based on merit and compensates employees based on performance. That's a statutory obligation that this board has pursuant to that statute. In furtherance of that statutory mandate, back in 1999, the Building Excellence and Success Together program was adopted by resolution by the full board, also known as the BEST Incentive Program. It was largely conceived by then board member Larry Shubnell, and it has worked very well for some 22 years. The board, through the BEST program, recognizes and incentivizes employees, and we establish goals that if the employees meet and the board says so, then we go ahead and compensate them additionally. So in April of 2020, the board determined that the service was projected to meet the FY20 BEST goals, and authorized a best payment to be made to eligible employees. That was done in recognition of the considerable efforts and personal sacrifice that the services employees had undertaken to carry out their duties and maintain the critical mission activities of MES during the pandemic, and to boost the morale and recognize the employees for their hard work and dedication. The board did not authorize the early payment of either the Best Plus or executive incentive. It was only the best. So the distribution of the best back then, the pool was established at, and I'm just going to round, $3.2 million. In April 2020, $2.1 million was paid to 701 eligible employees, representing 65.24% of the pool. In June 2020, an executive incentive payment was made in the amount of $42,000, 1.3%. And then the balance remaining is $1.1 million. As the board remembers, we hit the pause button in November of 2020, but now we're ready to remove the pause button. So it was suggested by management yesterday that the following be paid from the remaining best pool. $210,000 for additional best payment, representing 6.52% of the pool. $790,000 for Best Plus incentive. And Best Plus incentive allows Ms. Banta, Mr. Gillespie, and Steve Tomczewski, with the concurrence of Dr. Glass, to reward additional compensation for outstanding performance by our employees. And then finally, management recommended $79,000 for executive incentive, 10% of the salary. And under the original resolution back in '99, that could be up to 15%, but management recommended 10%. So with the BEST program, that would translate to $300 per eligible employee. And that $300 is for each eligible employee, regardless of what their normal salary is. Under BEST Plus, in the amount of $790,000, as I indicated, the managing directors will share that pool to reward individual employees who have made extraordinary contributions to achieving the FY20 BEST goals and for outstanding performance. Let's see, finally, executive incentive payments. As I indicated, the award the executives up to 10% of their base pay, and it will be from the balance of that pool. So the board, the HR committee unanimously voted to recommend to the full board the Best Plus, and executive compensation amounts that management recommended. That is codified in Resolution 21-03-1R. And with that, I'll move its approval.
Are there any questions? Mr. Coleman.
I was just going to say that because this resolution is being offered by the committee, Joe has offered it as a motion. So at this point, you would only need a second and a vote.
This is JP. I'll second it.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you. HR committee. Managing directors reports. Ms. Banta.
Yes. Yes, so my update today is on the Baltimore Harbor anchorages and channels modification of the Seagirt Loop channel feasibility study. We call this the Seagirt Loop feasibility study. This is a $3 million project that is cost share between the Corps and the Port. It's a 50-50 cost share. And MES and consultants are providing services for the Port as part of their in-kind services towards the cost share. So the objective of this project is to decrease transportation delays to vessels calling on the Port, improve navigability and increase vessel use of harbor access channels, increase transportation efficiencies for vessels calling at South Locust Point Terminal, meet current and future needs for handling of larger vessels to satisfy traffic demand. And the scope itself is to look at alternatives to widen and deepen Seagirt Loop channel up to 50 feet, to redesign an anchorage to allow for larger vessels to stand by in the harbor, to examine deepening of the South Locust Point channel and turning basin, and to evaluate other structural, non-structural measures resulting in improved transportation efficiencies in the harbor. And MES and consultants support that we're providing on this project include project and contract management, planning, National Environmental Policy Act compliance, design, technical services, surveying, and navigation and economic studies. And the work we're doing, it's ultimately a $1.475 million in services, and that's under 2 different agreements. So it's good work and exciting work that we're doing, continuing to do up there in the harbor for the Port. Any questions?
Now, just as an aside, I note that the Howard Tunnel construction is set to begin, and that's going to really put more demand at the Port, which is good. So this dredging is even more important.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Ms. Banta. Ms. Tomaszewski.
Yes, sir. Our topic, coincidentally, this month is on the durable medical equipment. Thanks to Dr. Glass for talking about his grandmother's experience with the one of the products from this program. This started back in October of 2020. We actually started up the operation, and we've been working on this project for, I guess, several years actually before we came to fruition. The whole project is set up at the old tobacco warehouse in Cheltenham. It's a Department of Ag building. It still has a number of tobacco presses in there, so it's been in use for quite a while. We only have 3 employees there. One is a driver, 1 site manager, and 1 basically a mechanical technician for repair of the durable medical equipment. And the durable medical equipment, just to explain the obvious, it's wheelchairs, walkers, canes, hospital beds, just a whole range of different items that we're taking in. We've taken over 2,000 pieces. We've collected them, and these are being collected at several locations across the state, from Baltimore City to Anne Arundel County, Eastern Shore, Harford County, etc. We have donated a total of 90 wheelchairs to the mass vaccination centers. One of those was the one at the Quincy High School in Montgomery County. And we have a high-tech video here, which hopefully will work, to show you, take you on an actual tour of this warehouse. The warehouse is 50,000 square feet. We're only using a small portion of it, so. Can you do that, man? Okay, this is actually being done by our site manager, Joe Manning, who was in a motorized wheelchair, which gives you an idea for the smoothness of the video. This is our incoming equipment area. So the first stage is you can see hospital beds, different apparatus. So all the equipment comes in here. You can see a bunch of walkers there, I think it is. And the next step is to go into our sanitation area where we have devices called hub scrubs, which we actually put the whole device inside of. It's like a large dishwasher. We have two of them right here to the right. Turn and see it. You can see that's a bunch of walkers stacked in there. So that's a key part. Then we have a drying area. You can see some of the walkers being dried there. Then we go into the world's cleanest maintenance shop. This shop is cleaner than my kitchen, I think. Like I said, you have to keep in mind, we have a total of 3 employees here in this large area. So this is the area where we rebuild any of the equipment that needs to be overhauled. Then when it's finished, we bag it and we put them on these storage racks. So, and you get an idea of this, the size of the building from this view. It's a huge building. So that's, I think, the end of it. So any questions?
Mr. Tomczewski, but for your efforts and the team members, would the equipment be otherwise landfilled?
Yeah, yes. So we're also, we're saving landfill space. There's a tremendous number of positives here. And we're looking to expand this program in FY22. We'll have, I believe, I think we'll essentially double their number of employees. More, probably one more mechanic, one more collection driver, and a laborer, I think we're going to add. So this is all funded by the Department of Aging. I didn't mention that, but this is really a Department of Aging project. So it's a really good project. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. T.
Thank you.
Next slide.
Good morning,
Mr.
all.
Glass. Yeah.
Thank you. Just wanted to update the board this morning on some federal legislation that has the potential to impact the operations for Maryland Environmental Service. So the American Rescue Plan Act was passed by Congress. This was to provide some additional resources for COVID and recovery for economies of the country. But as part of that funding, there was also included language for upgrade of critical infrastructure projects, particularly water and wastewater projects. So each state is going to get a certain amount from the federal government to upgrade these infrastructure projects. So DBM, Department of Budget and Management, reached out to MES as the agency that takes care of the state's water and wastewater infrastructure and asked us for a list of potential projects that could be funded through these funds that the state is going to be receiving. We came up with a list of a little over $202 million in potential projects. You can see here how those are broken out by different clients that we service, including ourselves, MES. We included some items for such things as CCTV trucks that can help us with maintenance at various facilities, some mobile generators, that sort of thing. But some of the other projects that we requested funding on was biosolids handling equipment, additional pumps, for example, and just a number of different upgrades that aren't already in the capital improvement plan, the 5-year plan for the state. Just point of comparison, our general funding for the capital improvement plan every year runs between $15 to $20 million a year. So, over $200 million worth of additional projects that we would execute would be a huge increase in the amount of work that our engineering staff is helping to move forward. We don't expect to get the whole $200 million. I'll say that up front. We're prioritizing this work with DBM as to which ones are criticals and which ones are the nice to haves. But either way, we do see this as a significant increase in the amount of work that MES will be performing over the next few years with this influx of funding. And this is direct funding to the state. There is separate funding that the communities will be receiving themselves for the same purpose. So although we haven't engaged on the county or local levels yet, we do anticipate there will be additional work from those sources as well. So we're looking forward to the challenge we're going to have here over the next few years. Any questions?
I'd like to chime in. So I believe it's in the plan that the state of Maryland is receiving over the next 3-year period something of around $4 billion, separate and distinct from the state $50 billion this year, $50 billion budget that is proceeding to approval. And there is another, I believe, $6 billion that will go to. I think the number I read was $6 billion. It is in the billions for all of the municipalities, towns, and counties in the state. A portion, one of the 4 items identified in it, is water, wastewater, and rural broadband. So for MES being positioned to work in every county, every town in the state, and for our A&E partners that also work throughout the state and execute projects efficiently, on time and on budget, we will be able to communicate to municipalities that we're ready to assist should they need any assistance in executing their projects. It's going to be a lot of work in the industry, in the water wastewater industry, for this 3-year period, and I hope that we're preparing to staff up should we get the call to add more project managers, going all the way back to that theme of training people in project management, and to deliver. These projects have to be in the ground, I believe, by December 2024, Mr. Gillespie.
That's correct.
They have to be completed. So we're planning. Mr. Gillespie and the engineering division are planning right now, and it's really exciting times in water wastewater. And the last point is there is a part of this that connects to a potential infrastructure bill and the idea that transportation, obviously another major client of MES, will also receive funding from a part of these resources. So the Maryland Department of Transportation, both the Port Administration and the State Highway Administration should be in line for some more resources that will also need support. So anyway, it's a very exciting time. I'm sad to hear Mr. Gillespie say we won't be getting the entire $200 million over 3 years, but we got to keep trying. All we can do is be prepared. Thank you, Mr. Gillespie.
Yes, sir. And I've got one more item for the board to consider this morning. So MES operates a service district in the community of Darlington, which is in Harford County. So what makes this a little bit different for MES is that basically we act as the utility for the community of Darlington. We're not just the community's operator. So we take care of operating the facility, the distribution, the collection systems. We do the billing, soup to nuts. We're responsible for this service district in the community of Darlington. On October 23rd of 1997, the board approved the resolution that created the Darlington Water Service District. As part of that resolution, we have to prepare and update a 5-year plan for the service district and review that biennially and allow the citizens to comment on that 5-year plan. On March the 10th, just a week ago, the service conducted a public information hearing for the community. It was done virtually via the Teams format. And we also allowed comments to be received in writing if anyone wanted to provide any comments. There were no citizens that attended the Teams meeting and provided any comments or asked any questions. We did receive one question from the local school that is serviced there. They were just asking about rate increases. We're not proposing to increase rates at this time. So we answered their question, and there was no follow-up required for that. So as of this morning, what we're asking from the board is that you formally adopt the 8th biannual update to the 5-year plan for the Darlington Water Service District.
Are there any questions?
No questions, Dr. Glass. Since I'm a Harford County boy, I'll move resolution number 21-03-2R.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
This is JP. I'll second it.
As a neighboring county?
Yes, sir. Sort of.
All in favor, please indicate. Sort of neighbor. You're Carroll, right? Carroll's not next to Hartford. Am I getting my counties wrong? Yep. Oh, Baltimore, the sliver of Baltimore County. I apologize. My third grade teacher will be angry for my slip up on the state map of Maryland. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you, Mr. Gillespie. I'll consider that unanimous.
Thank you.
Slide. Ms. Crosby, with the procurement report.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning, Hattie.
Good morning. The first item we have for approval is the annual Microsoft licensing. It's a 3-year subscription for Microsoft 365. This is a intergovernmental cooperative purchasing agreement. The awarded company is SHI. The amount for 3 years is $748,751.40, and the yearly payments would be $249,583.80. The term of the contract is from April 2021 through March 2024.
This is JP. I'll move this contract.
This is Morgan Hall. I second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Next item.
Sure. Item 2 is the Montgomery County Oaks Landfill Oil and Grit Expansion Design Build Project. This project is the design build service for the Montgomery County Oaks Landfill facility. It's an expansion project. The project is the request of Montgomery County Department of Environmental Protection. It's a recycling resource management. The procurement method is a county-directed sole source. The awarded company is Barton and LaJuice. The amount is $664,800. The term of the contract is for 420 days, and the MVE goal on this project is 5%.
Any questions?
I have one question. So I'm trying to figure out how the county can justify a sole source of something in this amount. Do we know, or do we care, or do we leave it on them to give the direction?
Mr. Tom Chesney, do you have any insight on the counties? Normally, with all state procurements, we are working and we have a new sole source form. County governments, I personally haven't dove into that relationship. Maybe Mr. Tomchevsky knows more. Maybe Mrs. Crosby can share, but definitely when it's an original equipment manufacturer, we don't weigh in. The state has different goals than the counties. as far as MBE goals and any probability that MBE goals are being avoided. That's different between states and the counties. Mr. Tomaszewski seems like he has something to add, though.
Yes, I do. Thank you. Well, there's a couple of things. First, Barton and LaJudas has done a lot of work for the county at the Oaks landfill. And in particular, they did the expansion, the oil and grit expansion concept plan was prepared by them, which was back in June of 2020. So they're the expert for Montgomery County. So that's their basis of choosing them, voting to go for a sole source on this one. So it's a matter of expertise and their experience and the work they've already done.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, it's not an arbitrary decision. Trust me.
Thank you, Mr. Tomaszewski.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Can I have a motion?
I'll move.
This is Morgan Hall. I make a motion that we approve procurement item number 2.
I'll second it then.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Unanimous.
Okay. Item 3 is for the Howard County Hydraulic Modeling Support Service. This is a GIS, this is procured through our GIS Assisted Service Shortlist contracts. The awarded company is Wood Environmental and Infrastructure Solution, Inc. The amount of the contract is for $450,158.30. The term of the contract is through June of 2022, and the MBE goal on this project is 29%. Wood Environmental and Infrastructure, Inc. will perform hydraulic analysis for MDE in support of floodplain development and flooding sources located in Howard County, Maryland.
Any questions? All, can I have a motion?
Yes, JP, I'll move this.
Is there a second?
This is Shelley. I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Morgan Hall.
Thank you.
Item 4 is MES support of MDOT SHA with drainage management and remediation and maintenance service. This was an original procurement method through the assisted contract. And the awarded contractor for this contract is Concrete General, Inc. The original contract was for 1 year to December 31st, 2021. It's been, the modification term was for 6 additional months through June 30th, 2022. The original amount was $248,545.08. Modification to date were none. The amount of this current change order is $220,000. And now the revised total contract amount is $468,545.08. And there's an MBE participation goal of 10%.
Are there any questions?
I'll move item 4, Dr. Glass.
Thank you, sir. Second? Is there a second?
This is Shelley. I'll second.
Thank you, Zeller. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Next item.
Item 5 is the Eastern Pre-Release Unit Wastewater Treatment Plant Expansion Upgrade. This is the original procurement method through competitively sealed bid. The contractor is M2 Construction, LLC. The original term of the contract was 541 days. The modified term is 661 days. The original amount was $6,092,000. There have been 4 change orders. The amount of this change order number 5 is $380,766.22. The revised total contract now is $7,129,971.72. The current MBE participation is 7.6%.
Are there any questions?
This is JP. I'll move this item.
This Morgan Hall, I second.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 And item 6, for the Maryland Emergency Energy Administration, Task 10, Carbon Pricing Review and Technical Services. MES is seeking technical expertise for evaluation of carbon prices approaches. The expertise is needed to explore all viable approaches to reducing carbon emission at the lowest cost to the resident while still meeting their needs. MES and its subcontractor will investigate carbon prices as an alternative approach to reducing carbon emissions statewide. This is a client-directed sole source. The awarded contractor is McKinsey & Company. The amount of the contract is $500,000. The term of the contract is for 1 year. I will add that on this client-directed sole source, MEA did vet 2 other companies before selecting McKinsey & Company.
And they provided a rationale on the MBE goal.
No, they didn't provide, well, there is really no subcontracting opportunity in the contract, which is why the MBE goal is at 0%.
Okay.
They did provide extensive documentation for why McKinsey & Company was selected and the other firms were not deemed appropriate for this task order.
Yes.
I move item.
Thank you, Mr. Busby. Oh, thank you, Mr. Snee. Thank you, Mr. Snee. Is there a second?
This is JP. I'll second it.
Thank you, sir. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you, Mrs. Crosby. The notifications report. Are there any questions on the notifications report? Hearing none. Thank you, Mrs. Crosby.
Sure.
Mr. Coleman, with legal report.
Good morning, everyone. As you can tell from how active the agency has been recently, so too are the attorneys in our office and Pam. Primarily, we have at this point a trial coming up in Circuit Court for Anne Arundel County. It's anticipated to be a 9-day trial starting on April the 12th. This is the breach of contract matter involving the closure of the Midshore 1 landfill. We are still in this dispute with the contractor he claims that he incurred additional costs and is seeking a significant amount of additional money, which we've been opposing. So that will be occupying a significant amount of time for a big chunk of the staff in our office. We're also involved in litigation currently in the same court involving a protest or a bid dispute for work out at Cox Creek. There is a temporary restraining order and we're still in the TRO phase. That's been issued to MES and its contractor. That was filed or requested by the second low bidder in that matter. And the court will be has held several hearings. There will be a decision made on Monday, so we'll know whether or not the injunction or the restraining order will be lifted or whether we're moving into something more permanent. But at this point, we're looking at various options for that matter. And the other thing I'd just like to mention, Dr. Glass earlier today talked about our longtime employees. I would like to congratulate Pam Fuller. It was a couple weeks ago. She celebrated her 25th anniversary with our office. So it was one of the happiest days of my life when she came to work with us.
Oh, yay, Pam.
So thank you very much, Pam.
Yay, Pam.
Congratulations, Clerk of the Board, Mrs. Fuller. Thank you so much for all your years and a quarter century. There is a 25-year-old out there that was just a newborn when you started.
Way to go, Pam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Sure.
I don't have, this next slide. I don't have any old business. Is there any old business that anyone would like to discuss? I like how Mrs. Heller did it in the audit committee. I usually just do them, lump them together, but any old business? Hearing none. Any new business? I would like to talk about one item of new business, and that is on Monday, the position of Deputy Director operating close to the goals of a Chief Operating Officer was advertised by MES Human Resources. It was reposted on LinkedIn by Communications, and I forwarded it to my LinkedIn list, and we are getting lots of talented responses even in the first week. It will be open for another 2 weeks, 2 weeks from Monday, and we hope to have that position filled before the end of the fiscal year, and hopefully I can stop leaning so hard on everyone to perform duties in that role like I have. So here's to finding a talented individual to join the executive team at the deputy director level. And other than that, that was my only piece of new business. And if there are no other pieces, then the next meeting will be on April 29th at 9:30 a.m. And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank
Aye.
you so much, everyone.
Aye.
There we go. Everyone be safe and enjoy the warm weather that is coming and the beginning of spring. Thank you so much, and I'll be seeing you all in a month. Thanks a lot.